Welcome to IGH Going Rogue. Today is Wednesday, October the 16th, and we're back with our great friend Ron Aledo. Ron was a critical component of Battleground back in the day when we kicked everybody's ass. We had over 150,000 daily downloads on all the podcast platforms. Ron, a pleasure, man. Thanks for coming back. It's always awesome to have you.
No, thank you for the invitation. Very happy to be here with you.
Absolutely. So you guys that don't know who Ron is, he's a former Army intel officer, former CIA intelligence analyst. He was DIA, he's with DHS, and very few people know intelligence, Western Hemisphere, know the threats of Marxism like Ron, and that's why we wanted to kick off this podcast series with our good friend. Ron, so like Battleground, it's no bullshit, it's real. Our tagline says it all, right? It says truth bombs, F bombs, no bullshit, so let's fucking go. So let's fucking go. The border, the cartels, Venezuela, Trinidad, all this shit that is happening. You know, look, some people are saying, look, there's 11 million that came in. There was 7 million, there was 8 million during this administration. I remember a very real number, and you know, you have all the agencies' credentials and all that. But a good friend of mine at one of the agencies told me, Ivan, the captures really represent only 20%. So if we captured 10 million, that means 30 million came in undetected. That's insane. That is an insane number, isn't it?
It is. And it's right. Just a small portion of illegals that cross the border illegally represent just a small percentage of the whole number. I talked to the CBP commissioner. I talked to the chief of the border patrol back in the days. I used to work with them in Homeland Security, and they told me very honestly, "Hey Ron, we don't really know how many people have entered.
That's right.
We know how many people we've got.
We captured, right? We would have did. Yeah.
It's impossible to know how many people because there is impossible. There is no way of account for that people that enter illegally. And listen, I was at the border many times when I was in Homeland Security for about 2 years back in 2009, 2010. Well, one of the shocking experience for me, for example, was I was with the Border Patrol. I was inspecting the border. They were giving me the tour, the border, and I saw just across the wall, just across the fence, like in a big hill over there, just, I don't know, like 200 meters from us, a bunch of people, 10, 15 people with binoculars looking at us, looking at the border. And
Oh my God.
And I asked the Border Patrol guys, hey, guys, who are those guys? Oh, those are the coyotes.
Oh, the famous coyotes. Remember when Trump mentioned the coyotes in 2020 and CNN said, what are they talking about? Like these coyotes are like dogs. They can't be carrying babies across the border. Remember that? The ignorance from the left, my friend, is unsurmountable. Unsurmountable.
But the thing is, those were the coyotes. They were looking at us. They have radio. They were looking where the Border Patrol was at the time, so they can communicate where to pass the people and where the shipment goes. And I asked them, but there is anything we can do? No, we cannot do anything. They are on the other side.
Yeah, on the other side. They're on the Mexican
side. And the Mexican police, and the coyotes, they work together.
Yeah,
the local police.
Yeah, they're all part of the same payroll, right? So let me kind of rewind a little bit so people understand, because I don't think people really understand. People say, you know, Mexico and the fentanyl and the drugs. But if you can do, I don't know, a brief, you know, synopsis or a tutorial, if you want, to the regular folks, because regular folks don't understand the complexity. Bolivia produces hoja de coca. Then it goes to Peru, it turns into pasasica. Then it goes to Colombia, it turns into cocaine. Then it goes to Mexico, and it gets distributed within Guadalajara, Jalisco, Golfo, everybody else. And so can you kind of walk us through how that works, how, especially the players that happen? Because one of the things that used to become a very big joke was during the Bush administration when we did all the FTAs and they had Plan Colombia, right? We just say, well, they shut down Colombia and now the Mexicans were going directly to Peru and buying and bypassing the Colombians and eating that extra margin that was used to really crush us on the border, right? And then, you know, when we did, you know, free trade agreements with Colombia and Peru, they were saying, you know, Peru now became the #1 exporter of cocaine, you know, and kind of joking aside, but it was pretty harsh realities. But everybody doesn't understand that whole dynamic. How does that work? How do they work together? And at the end, how does it get here?
Well, yeah, just very simple so people
Yeah,
can understand.
so they can understand it.
Listen, basically, Colombia have been always been like the main producer, the main exporter. Yes, obviously they work together with Bolivia, they work together with Ecuador, with Peru. Obviously now there is the Venezuelans too, the Cartel del Sol. It's called Cartel del Sol because of the soles that the military of Venezuela have in the shoulders. So basically, it's a government-sponsored cartel, protected at the very least by the military, by the government. Uh, but so the people understand, basically what happened is, back in the late 70s, early 80s, was when cocaine was picking up.
Yeah.
It was replacing heroin, it was replacing all these psychedelic drugs of the 60s, of the
LSD,
70s.
all that stuff, yeah.
And basically, the Colombians, there were two big cartels, the Cali cartel, the Medellin cartel. They went directly into the United States, mostly here, Miami. They used Miami as the entrance port. And they were coming into Miami, I mean, whole Florida, but mostly Miami. And then from there into nationwide exportation and distribution. But the United States government saw that, and they began to intercept a lot of drugs in Florida. They sent here the Coast Guard and the FBI, the DEA, all the customs agencies. They began to focus here, and the Colombians were losing a lot of money because a lot of interceptions, a lot of drug was caught, and somebody thought, okay, Miami is small. It's a geographically small area.
Yeah.
What about if we use the border? That's almost 2,000 plus miles of desert, of border. They're going to use that. And somebody had the idea back in the late 80s, and they began to subcontract the small gangs in Mexico. Hey, guys, we're going to give you some money. We're going to give you the drug. You pass it over the border. And that worked for a little bit until the Mexicans then began to think by themselves. Hey, wait a minute. We don't want to be your employees. We want to be partners. We want 50-50.
Right.
And then instead of being small gangs of Mexicans, they began big cartels. They produce local marijuana and other drugs in the area, but their main job is to take the cocaine that comes from South America, mostly from the Colombia, but also from other places from South America. They take it. Sometimes it goes through Guatemala. Sometimes they go by air, by sea. It reaches Mexico. Then the different cartels distribute among themselves, and each cartel have a different segment of the border. And the Colombians use them, all of them, because, okay, maybe we lost one shipment in Arizona. Let's going to do one in California, or let's do one in New Mexico, let's do one in Texas, whatever. They use it, the whole border is used. So the Mexican cartel began to become super strong, super powerful, super rich, and obviously they fought among themselves for territory. No, this territory is ours. This part of the border, this 100 miles is ours. Ciudad Juarez is ours. Whatever is ours. So that's the famous war. I was part of the war because I was in a.
Yeah, you were there.
Merida.
Yeah. That's why I wanted you to tell the story, because it's
a
no bullshit story. It's coming directly from the source.
I was there. I was in
and that's when they really consolidated all the power, right?
They consolidate the power, but remember, you take one of these cartels, okay? You take El Chapo out, you take Sinaloa, you hit Sinaloa, then Juarez come out, then the different cartels, they replace each other. Cartel del Golfo, different cartels, they replace each other. The same happened in Colombia. We have two big cartels back in the 80s, Cali and Medellin. We took them both out. Yep. Then the FARC took over. Then the FARC, not as a main producer, but the FARC took over as the protector. They were doing taxes. They were organizing and protecting all the small traffickers and producers. And everybody who came in and out of the FARC territory back in the 90s, in late 90s, they have to pay a tax to the FARC. Then the FARC went out. I mean, it's supposedly out. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Then the small producer, they were by their own independent. And they still produce as much smokes cocaine
More than
20
before, right?
or 30 years ago. It's the same. The only thing is, instead of being centralized into a big cartel, now they have 300 little small cartel, but it's the same. And when they take out one big cartel in Mexico, again, somebody else take over.
Breaks up, right?
And breaks out. And again, the small operation until somebody else come and they unify again. Hey, we're going to take 300 miles of border under my protection. But that's not the issue. The issue is drugs is one thing. Yep. It's only one thing.
Right.
These cartels, they are not only passing the drugs, and they are not only passing the fentanyl that comes many times from so-called legal shipments, pharmaceutical legal shipment into Mexico. But in Mexico, corrupt people, businessmen, they take it from the legal pharmaceutical and give it to the drug cartels, or there are fake pharmaceuticals that work for the cartels, and they pass it too. It's also all kind of dangers and all kind of threats can come from that border. Right. I mean, if you open the doors of your house, anything can come inside, not only an illegal. We're talking about not only drug trafficker, but human trafficker. We're talking about weapons trafficker. We're talking about terrorists. We're talking about intelligence threat. We're talking about spies, foreign spies.
Yep.
I look Mexican, I look Hispanic, or whatever, but maybe he's from Bangladesh. Maybe he's from Iran. Maybe he's from whatever. He can be from Al Qaeda. He can be from Egypt. Oh, I have no passport. I have no. He passes. So that is the issue. When Biden opened the border, and this is a plan. This is not an accident.
No.
And they're not stupid neither. Okay.
No.
If you listen to Elon Musk say it very clearly, very recently. Listen, they are not stupid, and they are not negligent. This is a plan. They want to open the border. That's what Biden said before he became president during the campaign in 2020. I'm going to open the border. Everybody will come here, etc., etc. The plan is simple, and Elon Musk just repeated very recently. They want to change the population of the United States in a forceful way. It's not about legal migrants that come here to work, like many of us did and our families did. They did the process, they applied, they came for the visa, they came here to work, they came here for a good living, for
the American dream, right? For an opportunity,
It's about an uncontrolled, unregulated, open.
Well, it's about chaos, right? It's about creating chaos.
Completely.
Because that's what the left does, right? They create chaos, and then nobody can solve the chaos except government, right?
But the thing is,
they solve the problem that they created, right?
Millions of people come, dozens of millions of people come, and then who is going to shelter them? The Democrat Party is going to shelter them. The Democrat Party is going to give them everything. And then what Elon Musk said, and this, I think he was right, in the right spot. Hey, listen, this illegal 5, 6, 7 years down the road, the Democratic Party, again, sooner or later, are going to legalize them. Are going to give them a passport. Are going to give them a right to vote. I mean, sometimes they already have a right to vote in local elections. And guess what?
That's true too, by the way.
Because the Democratic Party is going to give them everything. Most of them, 80%.
They're going to get loyalty.
They are going to vote for the Democratic Party. What is going to be the end result? America always going to have a Democratic government on play. The Republican Party will never, ever win an election. That is the master plan.
Of course.
That it came from Obama.
And on that point, let's bring something up, right? During the last 3.5 years of the Biden administration, there have been 3.8 million naturalized Hispanics, illegals. So illegal people that came through the country, 3.8 have been naturalized U.S. citizens now. And 84% of those said that they were going to vote in this election.
There you go.
So,
there you go. That is the plan.
The last election was decided by 40,000 votes. Now we got 3.8 million new votes, right?
That's the plan.
That's a challenge. I've always said that. It is about hijacking a demographic like they did with the African American, with the black vote. I think the black vote is waking up and they're starting to realize, that they have been suckered into this fantasy land for 6 years. I think Charles Barkley said it great the other day when he said, I've been voting Democrat my entire life, and I've realized, the schools are still a piece of shit. My neighborhoods are a piece of shit. The businesses don't flourish. You know, there's no money in my fucking community. He's like, you know, fuck, what do I have to lose? You know?
The Republican Party,
yeah, and I think more and more people start realizing that you're going to see a shift, and you're seeing a shift right now. Look, Barack Obama got 93% of the black vote. Kamala Harris has 71. That's fucking huge. That means 29%, you know, are fucking voting for Trump. You know, right now, you know, Obama had 71% of the Hispanic vote. Kamala Harris has 54, if you believe that number. I believe it's a lot less. I believe it's probably around 44, you know? But we're going to find out on the exit polls. We're going to see a big reality check, you know, on how many blacks really moved and how many Hispanics really moved. And that's really going to be the deciding factor in a lot of places, because you look at Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, I mean, the amount of blacks and Hispanics that you have in Philly, in Atlanta, you know, and so many people, yes. Las Vegas for Nevada, Virginia. Look, in Virginia, 2020, right? Biden won Virginia by a very comfortable margin, right? I think Trump got 35% or something like that. You know, Governor Youngkin ended up winning a year later, exactly 1 year later, in 2021, and he won it because of a 22-point shift in Hispanics. You know, so Hispanics can move the election, and we got Terry McAuliffe and the Hillary Clinton machine out of Virginia forever, you know, and Youngkin got reelected last year. So, you know, those are things that are very important. I think people need to understand the value of the Hispanic vote, that Hispanics come in. And Trump said it, you know, today, actually, right, at his town hall on Fox. He said, you know, and yesterday, actually, at the Chicago Economic Club, right, with the Bloomberg event, he said, I'm not against immigration. I'm against illegal immigration, because the reporter was a big anti-Trump liberal, and he kept on saying, if you stop immigration, you know, all these immigrants are going to generate whatever, trillions of dollars in economic growth. We need that labor. We need the workforce. We need this. And he said, I'm not against immigrants. I'm just against illegal ones. And he said, anybody that comes here to study and gets a college degree, we should give them a visa. You know, because they're qualified to go get a job.
And also the special visa for investors.
Right.
The special visas for medical doctors, the special visa for scientists. I mean, all those are there. And there are also some cases, obviously, and Hispanic knows about that, especially people that came from Cuba, yep, escaping the dictatorship, and people that came escaping the Civil War back in the 90s and 80s from El Salvador, and escaping the communist guerrillas in their countries. Yes, that's okay. What the point is that we should have some kind of organization, some kind of criteria, some kind of thinking on who can come, who can produce, not just open the doors wide open for everybody. Because listen, many of these people, we don't know where they even come from. We're not talking about Hispanic. We're talking about people that might come from Nigeria, might come from Pakistan, might come from wherever.
I was talking to that guy in San Isidro at the border, right? And what did he say? You know, he said, you know, we have about said anywhere from 50 to 100 people. You grab the remote. We have a technical problem on the air. Grab the remote, Mr. Producer, and press a button. There you go. Thank you. See, that's authenticity right there. So we have a, you know, they were identifying between 50 and 100 Russians a day coming in through the border.
Yeah, I mean, and
dude, that's a big fucking number.
And the Russians are easy to identify.
Yeah. But you know, what about Al Qaeda? What about ISIS? What about you know?
I mean, you see an European or Eastern European or North European into the border. Come on, let's be honest. That's going to get the eye of the border patrol.
So let's talk about that, because I love how I lead you into, right? I lead you into these things, right? So when Chavez was alive, right? His consul general in Damascus, Syria, he was giving Hamas, Hezbollah, right, the Iranian, you know, army, you know, visas to Venezuela. Once they got there, they would give them Venezuelan identities. And these guys were running around all over Latin America, trading and playing with the cartels, doing deals with drugs. in order to, gather up. They were playing in that no man's land in Uruguay, Argentina, Paraguay, right? You don't think all those people came in through the border pretending to be Venezuelan, Ecuadorians, Nicaraguans?
It's very possible. And again,
I mean, seriously. I mean, you're
yes,
an intelligence guy.
I mean, I don't have the exact numbers.
Of course, but you don't think that they would? That's their intention?
It's very possible, and not only Iranians. I mean, it can be from any organization. It can be from Al Qaeda. It can be from the Islamic State. It can be from Algeria, from Egypt, from any place. Oh, how do we go into the United States to plan a bomb? How do we go into the United States to plan for a big terrorist act? How do we go into the United States to steal secrets? I mean, the Cuban intelligence. That they are experts in stealing.
Sevin,
they kind of suck, just to be honest with you. But the Cubans are good. The Cubans are good, right? Yeah, the Sevin are tough guys. They are tough guys.
They're just thugs.
Exactly. They are. We need to break some opposition over there. They go over there, they punch, they kick ass, they arrest some people.
So they just make noise. That's it.
Exactly.
They're not smart people. They're not smart people.
Yeah. Intelligence, operative, humid, like we call humid collector. The Cubans are the best of the world. And how do you get all these people into the United States? Oh, easy. Let's go to Mexico, then cross the border, and you're in the United States. That's it. And as simple as that. And
so we talked about that, and you always said that. You said that the Cubans had the best intel apparatus, right? Better than the Chinese and better than the Russians.
Yes.
And, and when, me and you go back a long time, right? So when we were talking about a lot of these elections in Latin America, from way the beginning, you kept on saying this is the Cuban intelligence.
Yes.
This is Cuban intelligence. This is Cuban intelligence, right?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you how. First of all, people need to understand, again, history.
But they don't because they lack intellectual curiosity, Ron. They don't want to read.
Yeah, but I'm going to explain it very simple. Listen, back in the 80s, when 70s, 80s, when we have all these guerrillas, I mean, we have Sendero Luminoso, and we have the FARC and Farabundo Martí, and we have whatever. All these, they were all the same. They were all of the same, and they were coordinated, paid, organized by the Cuban intelligence. Wherever you find a left-wing Marxist communist guerrilla in Latin America, there were some Cuban intelligence operative with them, organizing them, training them, giving them guidance, coordinating from one country to another country.
And they're still active today, right? The Cuban intelligence.
Cuban intelligence is still there, but because they don't have the money of the Soviet Union anymore, they don't have originally the money and the weapons and everything came from the Soviet Union to Cuba, to Latin America, to all the Hispanic countries. But because the Soviet Union don't do that anymore, they changed strategy. Okay, instead of doing a guerrilla war, they're going to do it the easy way. They're going to just win the elections. They're going to brainwash the people. They're going to use the students at universities. They're going to use that's going to use the unions. They're going to use the workers. They're going to bring the indigenous movement. They're going to use all those movements to brainwash the poor, the uneducated, whatever, and let's going to win election after
See how I lead you into another topic? This is beautiful, man. We feed off each other so good.
Let me explain you the second, because it's important. Especially in places like Colombia, like Guatemala. Another thing that the Cubans do, they take left-wing, very idealistic kids, college kids. I mean, 22, 23 years old.
Sleepers, right?
They are college kids, law students, and they recruit them. Hey, do you want to help the workers of the world? Do you want to help the communism and the poor of the world? Oh, yeah, of course. So I'm coming back to you. Just get into the government. Just get into La Fiscalía. Just become a prosecutor. Just become a judge. And 10, 15 years later, when that young kid is a prosecutor, is a judge, like in Brazil right now, like in Colombia right now, then the Cuban intelligence activated. Okay, you see that right wing over there, you see Bolsonaro over there, you see Bolsonaro supporters over there, you see Álvaro Uribe supporters over there, go after them. With whatever, it doesn't matter. Go with whatever you have. Go with everything.
Invent something,
That is how they keep control of the justice system in Latin America. Cuba
and that's what they are doing here. I always say this, right? I always say, before they bring it here, they go test it somewhere else. And they have been testing this deep state bullshit for a long fucking time. And they finally brought it here, right? because they saw how they could grab and infiltrate schools, academia especially, and then infiltrate the government in education and especially in the Justice Department, right? For all
State
those
Department.
places. State Department.
State Department. This is what they do. What they do, they have two main goals in the United States. The first
Here.
goal,
Yes.
the first goal is to get intelligence, especially in Miami area. They infiltrate the Cuban community, the Venezuelan community, the opposition, and they try to gather as much information, intelligence as they can. They try to get intelligence from all the military bases they can, because that's good for them. I mean, they have in Lourdes, they have a signal intelligence, everything to do with radars, GPS, satellite from Lourdes in Cuba, trying to get communications, intercept communication, because that is something that the Cubans can sell for money to Russia, to China, to Iran, and that's hard cash for them that they need. The second thing that they do, they infiltrate the universities in Washington, D.C. The left-wing leaning, the Georgetown, the George Mason,
America University,
all those left-wing leaning, and especially the students that are doing foreign affairs, international relations, because they know that many of these students will end up later on as a State Department employees, as a foreign affairs officers. And if you see the trend of the Cubans, you can see that many people in the last 10, 15, 20 years, have been State Department employees working for Cuba. That's something that they do, and they get those top secret information that influence, that directing the narrative of the foreign diplomacy of the United States.
That's amazing, man. It's amazing. It's a, the threat is real, but at the same time, let me ask you this, right? You don't think that people like us, right, like our kids, that have either come here, or parents brought us here, or grandparents brought us here, or whatever it is, and have left all these countries and understand those realities, why would we come here and vote Democrat and support those same fucking policies that destroy these fucking countries? It doesn't make any sense. Right? Well, is it stupidity? What is it?
A little bit of stupidity, obviously,
right?
but you need to understand that we live surrounded by an amazing propaganda. Okay, it's not like the propaganda that we used to have with the totalitarian regimes back in the past. But listen, any kid that is 18, 19, 20 years old today, he has been exposed his whole life to the propaganda brainwashing that came from the educational system, that came from the muñequito, from the cartoons, that came from Hannah Montana, from Disney, from the homosexual, transgender, whatever, trans lesbian, from Hollywood. They come whatever Miley Cyrus tell them, and whatever this Madonna tells them, and the movies, and the Avengers, and whatever, and that they go to college, and they brainwash them. So it's brainwashing after brainwashing, from school to pop music, to Hollywood, to movies, to universities, to all the propaganda that comes from the media. 90%, 85% of the mainstream media is always left-leaning. The big media, and that is what they hear. That's what they see. That's what they see in TikTok and whatever.
Yeah.
So the result is a democratic border. The result is a left-leaning
but you know
socialist.
What? I also believe this. I also believe, and I say this openly, and I've said it openly a million times. So it's not the first time it's going to be heard. But when Newt ran for president, I was his Hispanic communications deputy, right? And I remember Newt, saying the following. He said, the problem that we have is that we're fucking terrible engaging minorities. He goes, we're thinking outreach instead of thinking inclusion and giving them a seat at the table and sharing, who we are, what our values are, and coming to an understanding that we have more shared values than differences, and that their natural home is the Republican Party, but we don't do that, right? The Democrats do that very effectively, right? They're out there, in plantations, they're out there in local places, in local markets, in local communities. Republicans really don't do that. We don't do that very effective, right? and we have a communications problem, right? Because we're not really talking to them. You know, Donald Trump is doing a town hall today on Univision, right? Okay, that's, you know, once, right? But Univision goes 24/7, 365 of propaganda.
Yeah.
Right? So as soon as the town hall is over, the next 14 days or 20 days, they're going to say how everything that he said was a lie. And that he's a racist, a fascist, he's dangerous, he's, you know, must be taken out, must be destroyed. There's somebody today, you know, that said he had to be shot, you know, and then they say that they're not inciting violence or the 2 assassinations attempts against the president, right?
No.
So how do we correct that? You know, because I don't know if you want to even go there, but 2020, you kept on saying the biggest psyops operation in the history of the world is being run right now on the American people, and people don't even realize it.
The biggest was the election of 2020. Listen, Ben Shapiro said something very, very smart a few years ago, immediately after the elections. And what Ben Shapiro said is, and there are many reporters, honest reporters, conservative ones that accepted what Ben Shapiro said, and I truly believe it. The biggest side of operation is on a daily basis, obviously, but it was incredible. It was super big. It was amazingly big, especially for the 2020 election. That it was complete. It was absolute. Let me explain you why. Because they have all the media, all the social media, Twitter at the time, the Facebook and the YouTube, the Google algorithm for searches, everything. It was coordinated. It was coordinated. The Democratic Party. It was coordinating the media. It was coordinating.
And that was the height of the cancel culture too, right? So you would say anything and they would cancel you.
You said the truth, they cancel you for whatever reason. But they brainwashed the American society, and they even accepted. If you see the Times,
Time magazine article,
they accepted. They are proud of it.
Yeah, they said this is how we did it. Yeah,
we brainwashed the American society and the American public. We did it because to save democracy. But they accepted. They are proud of lying, of brainwashing, of not giving any room for the individual or independent thought to the people. You have to believe whatever we tell you to believe.
So do you think that's not happening today?
It's happening today a little bit less.
Because of Twitter. Because
we have
of Elon
Twitter,
Musk.
and that's why they are so angry. They are furious.
I think Elon Musk is going to go down not for spaceships and Teslas, but for giving
free speech. I mean, they don't want to lose the control. I mean, Hillary Clinton said it recently, and many Democratic politicians, John Kerry said it recently too. They need to control the narrative because they want to fight disinformation, so-called disinformation. Disinformation is everything that the Democratic Party don't agree.
I think what they said, or Hillary Clinton said, free speech must be regulated.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Basically, that means censor anyone that goes against the Democratic Party, the left-wing narrative. If you say something against, I think that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. Oh, you should be canceled. Oh, that's disinformation. That's false.
It's racism. It's bigotry.
That's racist, of course. Whatever truth, whatever fact, whatever statistics you come in and you point, but this is what the FBI statistics say about violent crime in America. Oh, that's racist. Is that true? Oh, 2 and 2, it's 4. Oh, that's racist too. You cannot say anything that is factual or a truth or anything that goes against the ideological narrative of the Democratic Party.
Well, Newt used to say that, right? Newt said, before you can debate somebody, you have to establish some facts, right? If you say 2 + 2 is 4, and they say, no, it's 18, then you know what? You have no business having any kind of conversation with that person because he's a fucking nut job, right? He's crazy. Or just plain stupid.
Yeah, they say, I don't want to hear your truth. Yeah. Oh, but 2 and 2 is 4. No, that's racist.
Yep.
It's not racist. It's a truth. No, that's racist. That's inhuman. That goes against human values and against the sensitivity of many people.
That's right. So Ron, you've read so much, right? You're so well read, intellectually, right, academically, and then you've had the opportunity, to consume so much intelligence over your entire career. My question is, so I'm going to walk you into it, right? So cancel culture is virtually dead, right? it's not what it was at its height in 2022, where they were sending the FBI, everybody over to your house, your office, whatever. That's kind of died down with Elon Musk and Twitter taking over, and
he's given a breather.
yeah, and it's also impacted a lot of companies and their brands and their revenues and valuations and all that. Wokeness, is that here to stay, or is it also on its deathbed?
No, it's going to stay. Yeah.
You think so?
Yes, I mean,
if Kamala Harris wins, we're screwed.
Yeah,
but if Trump wins, you don't think woke dies?
At least in a big segment of the population. You need to understand something. A big segment of the population, I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but I have to be realistic about it. A big segment of the population is lost, okay? Yeah. It's lost, okay? We still have these, let's call it safe havens for truth and tradition and Christian values. When we move away from the big city, when we go to the rural area, when we go to some areas that haven't been touched, not that much, and where people still have some hierarchy of values. But there are so much people, millions of people that take anything that this MSNBC, like the gospel. There are millions of people that take all this propaganda, that take all this whatever nonsense they read from their Hollywood star, and whatever nonsense they see from, Madonna said, whatever, it has to be truth. That people is lost. That people will ever. Can we? And then the worst part is that they make it an institution, because they take political power and then make it selling a truth. A truth become, that's a hate crime. Yeah. But it's not a hate crime. It's a fact. No, that's a hate crime. You cannot mention that. They use the government power, the law enforcement power to make in the institution the lies, the propaganda, the brainwashing. So that is why it will never go away. It will become a lot worse. Obviously, if Kamala Harris wins, that will be a complete disaster. Yeah. But obviously, it will reduce, because Trump will at least protect the institution, the use of the Department of Justice and the Department of Education to promote this wokeness. But I think some of it is going to stay. And remember, this doesn't come from 2020. This comes from the 60s. This comes from the 68 cultural revolution that took over all the institution, the education, and the popular culture of the Western civilization. That cultural revolution of 68 have been working now for over 50 years to brainwash not only America, but all the Western civilization.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people, you can't think of this problem as a local problem. This is a very well global operation that's very well organized and very well financed as well, right? I mean, it's like you said, it didn't just show up in 2020. They've been working.
It have been many years of preparation, of brainwashing. The big explosion of it came with the revolution of the 60s. Herbert Marcuse, who was a German writer, member of the famous Frankfurt School. Remember, all these were communist guys. They were kicked out of Germany. They came here. They came to the United States, and their theories of how to subvert the society. Marcuse wrote Eros and Civilization. It was the Bible of the hippie movement of the 60s, and he had to turn around the whole culture of the West. What traditional family is, what traditional values is, what make us proud, what make us proud of our history. Is not anymore the Washington Day. Now is the Native Days. Indigenous people. Everything has to be subverted. The role of the man, the role of the family, the role of the woman, the role of the children, the role of God, the role of church. Everything has to be subverted. Marcuse and many other writers, they exploded in the 60s with the cultural revolution of the 68. And until this day, the political parties put hundreds of millions of dollars, like the Democratic Party here, like the Socialist Party in Spain, like the Liberal Labour Party in England, and they spend billions of dollars actually promoting this idea and making them set into the minds of hundreds of millions of people, again, via the education, via the entertainment, via the
Right.
media,
Right.
via Hollywood, via
Right.
pop culture. And that's why I said I don't want to be pessimistic, but there's going to be realistic.
Oh, but that's what you do, right? You analyze data, right? And the
a
data's
lot of
there,
people,
right? So
it's too late to save them. Let's going to call it that way.
it is. It is.
We need to concentrate on those that can be saved.
Yeah.
And again, the Hispanic, you were saying before, the Hispanic, the black population, listen, we can reach to them.
Yeah.
It's not about reaching to them. It's about how to reach to them.
Yeah.
Coming to them with the right message, coming to them with the right thing. Well, listen, you go to a black neighborhood, they don't really care about saving the whatever.
The environment.
The environment
or the spotted owl or whatever. Yeah.
Or whatever, saving the dolphins or the polar bears. They don't care about the polar bear right now. I mean, they care about their communities being trashed out by high crime, unemployment, by poverty. So, hey, listen, and they have churches.
Yep.
If you want to reach to them, reach to their churches first, because their churches sometimes give them very good messages. They give very good, healthy messages, but then they don't focus that messages into the right vote, into the right political action. That's why they listen to something at church on Sunday. Oh, but yeah, I need welfare. Let me vote for the Democratic Party. No, we need to intervene. We need to direct that message. Listen, what tells you, church, you cannot do this, you cannot do that, right? And listen, who is for that? The Democratic Party. You are voting against what your church is telling you. You are voting against your values. And listen, the welfare, we're not going to take it away, but we're going to promote you to work. We're going to promote you to stand on your own feet.
And look, welfare was supposed to be a safety net. It wasn't supposed to be a way of life, right? And that's what Trump said. Gingrich used to talk about that a lot. The difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party is dependence versus independence, right? Democrats and the left want to make you dependent on government. Republicans and conservatism want to make you independent, period, right? Self-sustaining, and that's really what's at stake, I think, this election,
And the same message with the Hispanics.
Yeah.
It's not about that we're going to, you came illegally here, and that's another thing people need to understand. We want legal migration and productive migration.
Right.
Okay, we cannot bring anybody just because I want to come here. Okay, if we let a Hispanic brother or sister coming in just because they want to come here, okay, then we need to do the same with the Egyptians and with the Jordanians and with the Chinese and with the Lebanese and with the whole world.
Right.
Because otherwise, no, we have to be selective.
We can't be the recipient of every country's problems.
And we need to be selective not only because of the economic production and because of working as a society. It's because if we are not selective, the consequences are going to be there sooner or later. Listen, back in the 80s, we opened the doors to a lot of people from El Salvador because there was a terrible civil war over there. Okay, the communists were very close to take over the country. It was Reagan who saved El Salvador. So okay, let's going to open to refugees, and it's true. Okay, temporary refugees, and perhaps selecting who really need it, who really is in danger from the area that the guerrilla is, etc. No, they opened it to everybody, and that was a mistake. Because among those refugees now, some of them, many good ones, many good people, hardworking people, I know them. Listen, what we have today right now, we have Mara Salvatrucha, we have MS-13 gangs. And the origin of those gangs from El Salvador, the Mara Salvatrucha, come from there. That's the true origin. Because that refugees, we were not careful enough, and that mutated 2 generations later, 30 years later, into Mara Salvatrucha.
And they are extremely, extremely violent.
And that's exactly what might happen with the Venezuelans too. And I know many Venezuelan brothers and sisters. I love them. They are very good, great people, hard workers. But listen, if you open the doors to everybody, you don't know who amongst those don't come to work and are real refugees. You don't know who just came from prison. Who you don't know from what. From the gangs or from the organized crime.
That's why you can't, right? That's why if you apply for a tourist visa, right, you got to go through an entire background check.
Yes.
Police records, health records. You got to show that you have reasons to go back to your country. You're not going to overstay, right? That you have property, that you have money in the bank, that you have et cetera, et cetera. You know, so.
But if you're a poor immigrant, the Democrats want you here because they know that 6 years
they
from
can
now,
buy you.
You're going to vote.
Buy your vote.
Period.
They're going to buy your vote, right? And that's the biggest challenge. And, you know, how does Trump get rid of 10, 15, 20 million illegals?
Well, first of all,
that's probably logistically impossible, right?
Well, he has to stop first with what is creating them. These open borders come in, and then once you are in, you have a court hearing a month from now.
Yeah, but then they disappear.
They disappear.
And then you never see them again.
They're not stupid. I mean, we're here. Why risk it going to the court and then be kicked out? Let's stay here. That has to stop. And then using the law enforcement, and I think that he will have to change the dynamic, because right now, local law enforcement should not, per law or whatever, should not be dealing with immigration issues. Yeah. But that's the only way that he will be able to. He has to change the law, hopefully with a Republican Congress, and change the law in some way, somehow, that the local law enforcement
can check status.
Can check the status and can report it to ICE, can report it to the federal government. And listen, and it's not about being in the street, like, you look Latin to me, show me your face. It's not that. Of course not. But listen, you got arrested for whatever, for robbery, for fighting, for drunk, for whatever.
Show me your status.
Just said, okay, we arrested this guy for they stole whatever. They went to a gas station. Hey, they don't have paper. They're not here legal. Call ICE. Yeah. And the ICE will take care of it. Yeah. That is what it should happen.
That's what should happen. Excellent. So another question, to wrap up, because I know you're probably getting tired.
No, it's okay.
With all your cross agencies experience and knowing what we know now, right, that's happened in the last couple of elections, how corrupt are the agencies? How corrupt are they? Is the CIA corrupt, as everybody says? Is DIA? Is the FBI? Who else? Who needs to be gutted? Who needs to be cleaned? And then at the end, I want you to save this towards the end, is the Office of Net Assessment, because I know you're DOD and had DIA there.
Yes.
And if you don't want to touch net assessment, I understand. No, I understand.
Okay. Let me put it that way. Okay. The federal government as a whole, I mean, there are many honest people. There are many people that go and work. There are many people that are conservative, obviously, especially when you go into the military sector and you go into the DIA, DOD, you can feel it among the military people and former military people. You can see a right-wing tendency. The thing is, many of the federal workers, a huge amount, I'm not talking about the intelligence, the FBI, whatever, they come from from the segment of the population that fit usually the left-leaning liberal in the United States. Yep. They come from the big cities. They come from big universities. Yep. They are usually highly educated from the coast. And guess what? If they go over there, there is a big chance, there is a 70% chance that they are left-leaning. And when they come into work, let me apply for the FBI Academy. Let me apply for the Foreign Service in the State Department.
Yeah, the FSOs.
Let me apply for that. Yep. They're coming with that ideology from home. They haven't exercised themselves from Madonna and from Hollywood, and they haven't exercised from all the stuff they learn in their colleges and the stuff. Yeah. And they bring that into the federal service. Now, I'm not saying at all that most of the federal service or the agencies, they act in a political way. Some do. Some they try to.
Peter Strzok. I mean, come on.
Of course, they tried. First of all,
and by the way, he was going to the Pentagon and meeting with the Office of Debt Assessment too, right?
Yes.
So
No, listen, he was a counterintelligence guy at the FBI, but listen, he was left-leaning. He was Democrat Party, like most people. Listen, how many people voted in Washington D.C. and Northern Virginia against Trump? Like 90% in Washington D.C., like 80%
Yeah,
in
look,
Northern Virginia.
I grew up in Maryland, and
That's the people who worked at the agencies.
Yeah, of course. And we used to call it the People's Republic of Maryland, right? Because it goes 76% Democrat.
And most people, what I saw is that most people, they are neutral. They do their job in a neutral, but there are activists inside. And if those activists are really hot activists, hot heads, at the low level, they will try to sabotage. And they will leak names, and they will leak to the press, and they will leak classified to the press. And at the high level, remember, most of them are political appointees.
Right.
Most of them have been assigned by the party. Most of them want to get promoted. They want to get hired. Now, I want to...
Yeah, they have an agenda. Right.
They have an agenda. The FBI recently, they want to investigate Latin mass Catholics in Richmond.
Yep.
Why was that?
Yep.
Because they want to make happy the ideology at the White House. They want to make happy the Biden ideology, the Biden White House, the Biden DOJ. Oh, I'm going to earn some points. I'm not going to investigate Black Lives Matter. I'm going to investigate Latin mass Catholics, conservative Catholics, and that will get me promoted in the FBI.
Because that's how they lost Virginia, right?
That's part of it. That's part of it.
It was mostly Catholic Hispanics.
So basically, there are some people that are activists inside the agencies, and at the top.
How rotten is the FBI?
I could say that the rank and file people, they do their job, but once you get higher and higher and higher, and once you get in the leadership,
once it gets politicized,
once it gets politicized, I want to get promoted. Oh, I want to be the deputy. I don't want to be in Richmond anymore. I don't want to be in Mobile, Alabama anymore. I want to go to DC. I want to become a GS-15. I want to become a special agent in charge. I want to go to headquarters, to Pennsylvania Avenue in DC. Then you became to accommodate yourself and your worldview. Black Lives Matter is doing that. They're doing nothing. Oh, those MAGA guys over there. They're violent.
Look at those parents. So look at those parents at those school board meetings.
Those are they're intimidating.
Those are terrorists, domestic terrorists.
But Antifa over there is burning. They're just kids, leaving alone. Let's go and keep it those. That's the way that you get promoted. That's the way that you get hired, and it's true.
So how do you clean that bullshit?
Well,
that's going to be a fucking hard task for the president to come in.
Trump have to do it. I mean,
if he doesn't do it this time around,
he didn't do it last time.
No, he didn't do it. That's the problem. He didn't do it. And he surrounded himself with all these fucking rhinos, right? With all this establishment people, thinking that the traditional Republican establishment party was going to come and coalesce together and become one. And they worked with the left, they worked with Democrats, and they tried to organize a coup d'etat.
Hopefully, Trump will not make the same mistake again.
I hope not.
He did it one time. I mean, and I understand the man. He was trying. Let's going to unify. Let's going to bring the Bush Republicans. Let's going to bring people from the Bush environment into home. Let's going to try to unify the party. Blah 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 blah. Let's going to. But listen, they stabbed him on the back again and again and again.
And they did that to him.
The
Paul Ryan. Look at Paul Ryan. I mean, Jesus.
Paul Ryan. The Mitt Romney is okay.
I mean,
the military guy, the lieutenant colonel who was at the White House. I forgot his name. He was active duty. He was a lieutenant colonel, but he was a Democrat, left-wing leaning.
Oh, whatever. Are you talking about Miley?
No, he was at the White House. That was another idiot. But this guy is the one who leaked the phone call that he did with the president of Ukraine. And now he's not in the military anymore. He's a Democratic Party activist. So
I know who you're talking about. He's one of the lead witnesses in the Ukraine impeachment trial.
Trump cannot trust any of those guys.
No.
He doesn't. Everybody that is a political appointee, not only the number one, number two, number three. Number one to number 200. You are a political appointee, you get the hell out of here.
And that's one of the things that I heard, right? That he had, I don't know, let's say 7,000 appointees. And since he didn't have a list of people, he just kept all the Obama holdovers.
No, no.
What he needs to do is first day, you're out, you're out, all of them go home.
I am not inventing this. Just look at what this the former FBI director did.
Mueller.
What,
Mueller, not Mueller.
no, not Mueller. The guy who.
Yeah, Comey.
Yes,
yeah.
Comey.
Yep.
He was the number one snake. He was the number one Judas. He was the number one backstabber. Oh, yes, President, I'm with you. Yeah, the first day. Immediately from the first day, he was working to kick him out. He was working to set up
the National Security
Advisor. He sent agents over there just to set him up.
Yep.
I mean, from the first day, he was working actively, 100%
to take him out.
To stop.
That's why I said, they coordinated, they colluded, and they conspired, really,
and like Comey, hundreds of more.
Of course, but that was a coup d'état. That's what it was. It was an attempt to remove a duly elected sitting president of the United States with lies, with false charges, with fake impeachments and all that bullshit. And since they couldn't do it, Ron, sorry, they fucking did 2020. Everyone said, you know what, fuck
everybody together.
Everybody together, let's
press,
just fucking,
the media,
let's just do it.
Twitter,
fuck it,
Facebook, YouTube, Google.
All of it. Shut it all down.
Yep. Hollywood, everybody together. It was the biggest brainwashing psyops operation ever carried in the history of humanity. It was the 2020 election.
And they did it in the United States.
They did it, the biggest psyop operation, and they are proud of it.
Yeah, no, but I feel sad about it. I mean, that's a very sad fact.
It was almost at the level, and I'm not joking, the intensity and the universal, it was so universal, it was almost like North Korea. I mean, they use COVID, they use all the algorithm, they use all social media, they begin to censor, they begin everything just with one idea. All the media.
You think anybody goes to prison for that?
No. I mean, so. the people who leak intelligence to the press or the people who leak classified, they should. Yeah. But we were using our First Amendment. They misuse their power. They misuse their authority.
But not that. But what they really tried to do was they tried to organize a coup on a sitting president. Those people should go to prison.
Listen,
why isn't Comey in prison? Why isn't Peter Strzok in prison?
I know. The thing is, it's very hard to prove the intent. Yeah. And you and me and everybody that is 5 years old and older in the United States know why they did it. Okay? Yeah. You and me and anybody don't. Yeah. But they will defend themselves. Oh, I was doing a constitutional duty, because I thought that there was some kind of a investigative leave into he having a contact with the Russian government, so I have to investigate. Bullshit. Everybody knows that's bullshit. Yeah. You were there because you're a Democrat and you hate him. That's it. And you wanted to take it out because that's the orders you received from the Democratic Party and from the media, and because you want to be whatever. But it's impossible to prove that. He will always defend, I was investigation. I was an investigator. That's bullshit. Like Comey is just one example. There were hundreds of Comeys in the CIA. There were hundreds of Comeys in the FBI. There were hundreds
your old
of
employer. And we didn't get into that one, but I know we got to go. The producer's sending me smoke signals over here. But before we do that, I'm going to give you the opportunity. If you don't want to touch it, I get that. The Office of Net Assessment. Pass, or we'll leave it for next time?
Next time.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, fantastic, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do. I love having Ron with us. He is just an encyclopedia. Like I said before, there's very, very few people that can go in depth into so many issues and speak to it with authority and with a perspective that is fact-based, right? He has his political leanings like I do, like everybody else. But when he talks based on facts. And that's what's important. That's the difference between what you're going to see here and what you see everyone else, But Ron, how can people follow you on social media? Where do they get a hold of you?
Twitter, my Twitter channel, Ron Aledo, XCI Contractor, and also my YouTube channel, Ron Aledo, XCI Contractor.
All right, fantastic. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Ron, thanks for coming. And we'll see you again
you.
next week, right?
Thank
We're
you
gonna
very
do
much.
this weekly, right? Can't. I mean, there's too much information to discuss. So anyways, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.